Hello there.
General Kenobi's.
And yes, there is a dead person behind Zach.
Happy Halloween, everybody. This will be our last
Happy
stream before Halloween.
Halloween. Who's getting wasted? That's the real question.
Not me.
That's the only question. That's the only important question. We actually aren't going to discuss about anything Star Wars related until someone answers what they're doing on Halloween.
We've
I
got
wait.
the icons, Charlie, Alice, Fulcrum, the Stanleys. Welcome in, everybody. Yeah, we did win, Alice. And we have a theory about this. We think that Alex was holding us back. So
Yeah, I'm bad luck. They're superstitious now, these sons of bitches. So
I've
I'm not
been
allowed back anymore.
I've been meaning to talk to you about this. We're probably gonna bench you, dude. Your starting job has been lost. We're gonna bench you.
It's all good. It's all good, man. I understand. I'll just start a second channel and find another Zach and Cat.
ADHD.
ADHD, like to the second power, and then
Yeah,
and then I'll
squared.
and then I'll get Zach and Cat, but their names won't be Zach and Cat. I'll just call them that because I'm in denial and I
It'll be
can't
Dog
let
and
go.
Jack.
Yeah, exactly. Alex was
Alex just
mad they won without him, so they fired Cat.
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah, imagine if like we had that toxic of like a relationship. Like while we're on here, we actually like act like we like each other, but behind the scenes, we're just punching each other in the face and saying like we suck, and I'm
Yeah,
not paying anyone, kind of deal.
we hate each other.
Yeah,
We're not friends.
yeah, yeah. Zach's more friends with a dead person behind him than he is with me.
That's Mr. Bones.
Yeah,
He's an icon. But shall we get into it? We got a lot of Star Wars content this week.
yeah.
Tales of the Jedi dropped all at once a couple days ago. What did you think about it? Was it everything you hoped? What's up,
I
Zach?
didn't. What's up, Zach? I didn't realize it was gonna all drop at once. I thought it was gonna be like 3-3 or something. I thought they were gonna do something like that. But I'm happy, because it is only like an hour total.
Yeah.
About maybe a little over, not including credits. And I actually watched that after Andor. That was the last thing I watched. I kind of saved the best for last. At least I thought that it was going to be like the best thing. But I mean, it was great. I think it's something we've needed heavily, and it's kind of sad that it's like animation that kind of takes the cake. And when Star Wars never started as an animation, right? Like
Yeah.
everyone's like so like feels like this is Star Wars, but it's like it isn't Star Wars really. And like it's like the new Star Wars in animation form. But it's just like the inclusion of like the prequel content and really bringing out a character that is so complicated but so underused and kind of speed run through quite often in the films. But I think this is something that I think everyone's wanted at least a little bit, just a little bit more taste of Dooku. And I'd say he was like the strongest, I think, arc or story or tale, I guess you could say here, in this in this little like season here that Filoni made. Ahsoka was great. I just, it's kind of like I want to see more of what happens like with Thrawn and everything. That's kind of the only thing that I'm really interested in Ahsoka anymore at this point. Although I will say the last episode where it was um the funeral was amazing. It actually weirdly looked exactly like live action until you actually saw the caricatures. Like the lighting, the quality was insane.
Yeah.
I will say that it was cool to kind of see the creek of Naboo, like underneath like that big mountainous like imperial palace, because you normally just see like the establishing shot and then inside of Naboo. So actually seeing like kind of a little bit more of like the I don't know, like the world was really cool. And then just like seeing Ahsoka, obviously we've had this conversation before about Kenobi, where I was like, Kenobi would just absolutely demolish any Inquisitor in their path, and it's like wouldn't even be a challenge. And this kind of showcased that any Jedi who's was relatively close to one of the top Council Jedi, or trained by the Council Jedi, are gonna like they're not even gonna be phased by the Inquisitors. And this was a prime example of she just literally like watched the Inquisitor walk up to her, swing, like and played with him, and then just killed him instantly. And that's something that I think is expected among most actual Jedi, I guess, Inquisitors. Because I mean, if Cal can do it, right? I feel like an actual Jedi can absolutely demolish them. So that it was just really cool. It was a lot of cool additions, and I think it was a good way to really drive home a lot of the already established lore in like an easy way without having to like have a whole new season or whatever it is that they were trying to do. But this was a good way to kind of go in between different um, eras.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to unpack here. Um, I think in general I did like it. I feel like I agree with most people how I wish it were longer.
Hmm.
Um, I really wish that uh we got like double the Dooku stuff because I guess we can just do this now, but um I very much think that the Dooku episodes were a lot better than the Ahsoka episodes,
Hmm.
almost in every single way. Um I thought that the baby Ahsoka episode is like is okay. Like I was kind of bored and like it doesn't really impact anything. It doesn't give us any new information really. It was just like okay, Ahsoka was a baby and she was force sensitive. Like we already knew that. It was a beautiful looking episode though.
Hmm.
And then the episode where she's training with Anakin, all that really does is it's like okay, well if you were confused as to why she survived Order 66 so easily, it's because of this training. And then the last episode I thought was kind of the worst, honestly. Like I did not like that episode because it was so rushed. It felt like um
Yeah.
they took the Ahsoka novel, which details how Ahsoka like went into hiding. She went to this like farming moon and she befriended some of the farmers, and then I don't remember the details, but basically an Inquisitor catches wind of her and then shows up, and she does kill him almost like she does in this episode. By the way, have you ever seen a character look so cool but
Yeah,
get
that's the
just get
coolest.
murked so
Like
easily?
it's like he's like one of my new favorite like looks in any like Inquisitor or Sith or anything. I thought he was so cool, and I was like the cape with like the Imperial symbol was so
Yeah,
cool too. He just was beautiful, and it
and
was like it was a beautiful atmosphere, and then he just dies, and then and then uh and then like his helmet did like a little deflating thing, and I was like, is it the species that has like that um
yeah,
like that changeling thing or whatever? That's what I was thinking of, but yeah, but I mean, it makes sense that Ahsoka can do something like that, right? For someone who
no,
is so
yeah,
menacing looking and scary, like you realize, well, they're fucking Inquisitors, dude. They're not, you know, Council Jedi or like some of the best Jedi that have ever existed, right? So,
yeah. I have no problem with her killing him that easily because that's what happens in the books. Except
hmm,
she makes his lightsaber
yeah,
explode.
yeah,
Um, but I was just like, man, he looks so cool, but he's about to die like so easily, and that is what happened. But the Dooku episodes, I thought they were fantastic. I wish they were twice as long. I wish that we had twice as many of them. I said it in my review. I want like a Dooku show. I want a young Dooku animated show, like because I feel like they provided an outline for why he eventually fell to the dark side and joined with Sidious. But there's so much more that we could learn, and it was so good. I was so glad that we got that because he wasn't really a character that they have like explored that much. He's not Maul. Like Maul shows up in
hmm,
everything. He's not Ahsoka. Ahsoka shows up in everything. He's a severely underutilized character, and I was thrilled when I found out that he was going to be in this show, and I loved it. I was captivated with like all the Duke episodes, especially the last one.
yeah. I think a Dooku series would be really cool. I think maybe the executives maybe were like, I can't see this doing well. I don't know if there's enough consumer interest, so maybe we'll test it and we'll give you the full creative freedom to kind of tell your stories, and it'll be like a little like a bunch of shorts, right? And I think that's kind of they experimented in this realm a little bit more again. I don't know why. I think if they would have just done a show, it would have been a massive hit regardless. But I think it was also maybe a mix between them thinking, well, if we mix Ahsoka in there, since she has a show coming out, maybe it'll drive more
Yeah.
interest in that show. So they were like, we'll just do both and we'll make shorts. And I was like, okay, from a marketing perspective, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, it,
Um,
it it felt like they tied the Ahsoka episodes to the Dooku episodes because they were afraid it was gonna fail, and they're like, it's like they wanted to make the Dooku episodes, but they're like,
yeah,
let's throw the Ahsoka ones in here because everyone loves Ahsoka. So
yeah.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, totally makes sense. Um, but again, like they weren't bad. I didn't hate them. I was kind of like scratching my head,
The
like,
first one was a little it just felt like, "Oh, okay." Like, I remember I was watching it with Amanda, and I was like, "You don't have to watch the first one." She's like, "I want to." And she watched it, and she's like, "I like that one." So I'm like, "Okay." So I guess some people like them, but, that first one, I was like I felt like it was unnecessary, and it could have been something else, either more Dooku, whatever. But I will say the episode with Dooku and, like, having him have a kind of, like, one-on-one like relationship where they work together a lot with Windu was very interesting to see because it showed how dogmatic Windu was.
yeah,
Like I've always kind of seen him as kind of like a douche or like a he's too righteous and he doesn't listen and there's like so much cognitive dissonance because he thinks he's always right also. And it's just so cool to see like that like he's kind of like the gray Jedi like Qui-Gon was and that he's in between and he only wants to do what's right for the people, right? Whereas Windu's like I don't really give a shit. I just you know, act based off of what the council says and what is allowed for us to do. Like we don't really need to look into things anymore if we aren't required to, we don't have to. And Dooku's just like, why? You know, like I'll never understand why you're so um like why you heed so close to the boundaries of the council and the Jedi code and all that stuff. And then um he's like, well, we luckily we have a council that is formed without ego. He says without ego, and
yeah,
he is like one of the biggest egos in Star Wars, right? And it foreshadowed a lot, and it just showed how he anytime anyone kind of goes against him or questions like his judgment or the council's judgment, it's like the worst thing in the world, and he just like doesn't even listen. And it was really emblematic because there was that one scene with Dooku confronting one of the guards that killed the that one Jedi Master, who was on the council, and he was like, the Jedi, are just lapdogs of the Senate, and they just do everything to their will. And Dooku like looked at that, and Mace was like, "You should have just talked to the Jedi. You're an idiot. They'll listen." And it's like, but the Jedi never listen. So that's what was so cool. I just loved it.
yeah. They're honestly, and I love when shows and movies do this, where they pair two characters who are like diametrically opposed to each other together, because you really get to see like it really characterizes both of them like so hard, and they, they just continue to make Windu look like such a douche. Like
Yeah,
he's ever since the Clone Wars, like really, the Clone Wars has just characterized him as everything that is wrong with the Jedi, and it's on full display in that episode. Um, I I want to talk about the last Dooku episode because that one was my favorite by far.
hmm
Um, I loved how they made. I was like worried that they were gonna not, because sometimes in animation like age doesn't translate that well. I'm
you want to
glad
bring it
that
up?
they.
Actually, now that I think about it,
Yeah.
can you?
We'll
Sorry to
just
interrupt.
we'll just get demonetized. We'll watch the whole thing.
Yeah, we'll just stream it here for everyone to watch.
Yeah.
Just tip. No, I'm just kidding. Imagine. Well, our channel would get taken down almost instantly. What's up, General Grievous? What's up, the Stanleys? Who else is in here?
I'm in
Already said
here.
hi to Fulcrum. And
Okay.
then Alice had a question earlier. I don't know what this question means. How long would it have taken them to make the full X6 episodes?
I guess
Um,
like how long do you think it would have taken them to create the episodes, like to animate them, all that stuff?
but like in what content? Like how long in general, or just
Yeah,
how long
like
would it have
how
taken
long
them?
were they working on it, do you think?
Oh, well, I mean, sometimes animation can take even longer than live action, right? So who knows? I mean, that's why I think that it was probably relatively short because they were all shorts, right? And they probably had a bunch of two different teams working on the Ahsoka and the Dooku at the same time. So I don't know. I can't
What's
imagine
up?
more than 6 months.
What's up, Steam Train guy? Welcome in. Like, as an editor, how long since people wanted more? Well,
Oh,
we're not getting more anytime soon unless they have it, like, in the pipeline already.
how long as an editor? Like, I as far as, like, workflows for animation, I don't know if they have, like, just the composite animation, like, the rough animation, and then, um, like, the editor sets the pacing, and then they just completely, like, composite and make the full, render. I don't know if that's the process because 'cause I've never worked on animation really before. I'm doing that now, but it's a different team thing where, like, the animator sets the pacing because of the animatic. But I'm not sure how long, like in terms of this expensive ass animation, if they have a bunch of different scenes and the editor just picks and chooses and sets the pacing. I have no idea. They have the budget to do that, but I don't know if that's what the process is. I am curious though to find out. That would be pretty cool. But
Yeah, let's see. Zach is right. It makes the like they keep making the prequels better. They just keep getting better somehow. And because that's another thing that you could say about the prequels. They're like, well, Dooku wasn't very fleshed out. Well, now Dooku's more fleshed out. Maul's
yeah,
more fleshed out. Um, it's incredible how they keep doing this. But yeah, we get to see Dooku delete Kamino from the archives, which
yeah.
never made a ton of sense to me because couldn't they just go outside of their archives and like there's got to be like knowledge that Camino is a planet and other places other than the Jedi Order. So it's not like deleting it from the Jedi archives would delete it from
Well, maybe that was their hubris. They didn't look at anything else but their archives, right?
maybe
Because like if you look at like what's her face? I always forget her name. The
Jocasta
librarian,
knew.
yeah,
Jocasta.
Jocasta knew. She was like, "If it doesn't appear in our archives, it doesn't exist." And I'm just like, "Slap," I'm like, "Shut the fuck up. Don't talk to Obi-Wan like that."
How dare
Um,
you?
but I just loved how this kind of drew more comparison and similarities between like their line of teachings, right? Like Qui-Gon or Dooku was a great investigator. It proved it here in this show. He questioned everything. Qui-Gon questioned everything. Kenobi was the only one that didn't question everything. He followed, but he always did his thorough investigations, right? Um,
Yeah.
and negotiations. So it's like almost like it went from like the extremist, idealist point of view from Dooku, and it's like a game of telephone. It got progressively less heard as it went down, and then Anakin obviously followed the rules completely, but then was also like so against everything just because of his programming, and then eventually you know did what um, Dooku was destined to do. So it's like the line, right? And it's pretty cool. I liked it.
Yeah, Alice has a good point here. Like I did feel like a little sad watching this episode for Dooku because like just knowing what happens to him
Yeah.
and knowing that he was always just a tool for Palpatine, it sucks because like he parallels Anakin so well, but rather than like Anakin fell to the dark side because like emotion, like he was emotional and whatnot.
Yeah.
Dooku, I feel like fell logically because he was like, well, the Republic is failing, the Jedi Order is also failing. I need to like logically take this next step, become a
I mean,
Sith.
in a way, it is like it's a mix between logical and emotional because he got to see the fallout of a lot of the policies that these senators were putting in place, and it just made him feel like he didn't want to be just you know lapdog of the Senate that the Jedi has become. Like they've fallen so far from grace, and he realized that, and it was kind of upsetting for him to come to that realization. He's kind of the only one that really thought like that. He tried to instill his teachings into Qui Gon. It's just um, Qui Gon still wanted like he was still a part of like the view, but he kind of interpreted it in his own way. Whereas Dooku was basically just like no, this needs to be changed completely in the most extremist way, right?
Yeah, I think the difference between Qui-Gon and Dooku is that as we see, like Dooku always had darkness inside of him. And Qui-Gon didn't. Qui-Gon's just like a good dude. Like he just wants to help people. He's so much about
Yeah,
like
he's
life and the
Jesus.
force. Yeah. And Dooku has that rooted darkness inside of him and eventually it becomes too much and it kind of merges with his desire to do good and it warps it. And um I brought this up in my video, but like it always bugged me that in the Clone Wars television show, Dooku was never portrayed as a complex character at all. He was always very one note, very evil, like the clear bad guy of the show. And it just it bugged me because Christopher Lee portrayed him, I always felt, as like a complicated, moral gray kind of guy, even though he was a Sith. It felt like he was doing it for other reasons. And that was just kind of lost in translation to the Clone Wars. So this, I'm so happy that they deepened him in this show.
Yeah, it's so funny because I remember back in the day, there were like everyone was outraged that Maul died so early, and they're like, "Who's this old guy?" You know, and it's like Dooku didn't really get the love that he deserved for like a while. You know,
Yeah.
everyone was like shitting on him or shitting on his character because they were like, "He's just unnecessary. Let's just get rid of him and replace him with Maul." But I'm like now it's like if you look back through, the animated series and the live action, and I know that the film should be standalone. Like you shouldn't have to rely on other sources to tell your story. They should just expand upon it, which they do. But in a way, you kind of have to watch them now to really get a bigger grasp and a deeper meaning behind a lot of these characters. And this is kind of a good example of Dooku getting the love and like the thoughtfulness that he needed to make George Lucas's stories and storytelling, and need to include him in this more complex and meaningful. And um, it's just great to see. Like I've always liked Dooku. I always thought he was really cool, and he was always more than he was portrayed. So being able to see him and Qui-Gon really, it just really proves how much Dooku was like a pivotal character in like
Yeah.
in everything, right? And he never really got that recognition, right? Everyone just kind of brushed him off for quite some time.
Yeah, I've always loved Dooku. Like I love his
Yeah.
lightsaber. His lightsaber is my favorite lightsaber. I love how like classy and gentlemanly he was. I
Hmm.
loved his cape. Like he's completely different to Maul. Like Maul's cool, but he's like a berserker, and he's his dual wield staff, and he's all about like strength and power. And Dooku is more finesse and clever. And not to say that Maul isn't clever, because obviously the Clone Wars showed that he is, but Dooku just had a completely different vibe, and like I guess it didn't resonate with people like Maul did. But I personally have always loved Dooku, so to get anything more with Dooku was like a blessing. And I really hope that we get more, because Corey Burton is doing a fantastic job voicing him. Um,
Yeah.
and I mean, obviously, we'll never see him live action again unless they go young Dooku. But uh, by all means, as much animated Dooku that we can get, I'm down for, because he's he's climbing the ranks up to my favorite characters. Like especially with this, like I liked it that much.
Yeah. And it was definitely necessary. Like a lot of people are complaining about, like, we keep going back to all this, to like the same era. I want fresh stuff and everything, but it's like a lot of these are kind of necessary because they make the prequels stand out more and have more depth and complexity for what's to follow with the original trilogy. And it's just it was really cool, and I think it'll add more depth to Attack of the Clones now too, because you'll think like at least watching it, if you see like a new edit, like there's a lot of like those edits out there on like torrent sites or drives that people are sharing around that has like a lot of that Clone Wars footage to provide context or whatever to a lot of what's said in Attack of the Clones. Because in a way, it's like um, they just say a lot of things, but they don't really like kind of show um,
Yeah.
those relationships or what actually happened. Because there's a lot of time jumps in Star Wars, right? So I think this is just really cool to see. A lot of people might disagree, but I think it's really cool to expand on the lore and build it up a little bit more.
And like especially with the like so when you compare the originals very simple plot, like rebels against the empire. It's a very simple. There's not like a whole lot that you have to understand. But the prequels, it's like there's all this corruption with the Senate and the Republic, and there's the Trade Federation, and all these like this political atmosphere that you kind of have to understand in order to like fully enjoy the prequels. And then you have like Palpatine's grand plan. You have to understand that the Jedi are not what they used to be. They're no longer keepers of the peace. They're kind of just police force to the Republic. There's so much. There's so many characters that are pivotal. And you're right. Like you need things like this to make the prequels even better. And it kind of feels like I wonder if if um if the Clone Wars had come out before Revenge of the Sith, and like this had come out before Revenge of the Sith, and like all those shows had come out before Revenge of the Sith, and then when Revenge of the Sith came out, it would have been like an Infinity War level like movie, because you'd have, like, just think about it, like Dooku dies in the first 20 minutes, and like at that point we would have known him as like this more complex character than we did, and then like
Mhm.
it's just insane. Like it's like the MCU in reverse, kind of. Like they did the big movie first, and then they kind of filled in everything else after.
Yeah. Yeah, only back then they didn't make movies just to make movies or make film or make shows just to make shows to fill in, a streaming service, right?
Yeah,
So it's like a completely different mindset when they make these now, or just films in general. It seems like there's a very few that, I guess are auteur and they own their craft, but it just seems like a lot of it is just rinse and repeat.
the
So
machine.
fuel the machine. It's like the same with YouTube too, like content is like stale after a couple days. So it's just one of those things.
Not our content.
Yeah, it's just crazy because news has always been like that, but I feel like now everything is like that. It's like everything's so instant, everything's so quick, everything's so industrialized, and a lot of turnaround. There's no waiting. There's whatever. It's kind of wild. I mean, aside from the 2 hour wait for House of the Dragon, which I'm so sad about. We have we have everything coming out like within 6 months of each other, within a year of each other. But in between that year, there's all this other stuff, right? Which makes it fun and cool.
What's up, Sal? No worries. Thanks for dropping in.
Can't watch the
Uh,
Phantom Menace the same again. Forever
or Attack
changed.
of the Clones, frankly. It's just like
Yeah,
watching Dooku is gonna be different from now on in general. Like when he
like
says to
go ahead.
Obi-Wan in Attack of the Clones, when he's like, "I wish Qui-Gon were here.
Yeah.
I could use his help now." It's like I always wondered, like, was he being sincere? Was he messing with Obi-Wan's head? Now I think he was absolutely being sincere. Because you see how broken up he is about Dooku's death.
Well,
And
it's just
also,
it's just
go ahead.
crazy. It just draws more into like comparison to like the acting ability here because it's like Alec Guinness did the same thing, about that's a name I've not heard in a long time, and then he talks about Darth Vader and he's just shooken up about it, but he has no idea about and he hasn't seen anything. He didn't watch the prequels before he filmed. He doesn't understand the tragedy. He's just told what happened and he kind of acts. And Christopher Lee kind of did the same thing here, right? He knows what happened in the previous film, but like there's so much more going on there, whether like and then Obi-Wan's arc and everything, right? There's like so much complexity behind all of these characters and the whole lineage of training, that he just is um like you just feel in his words how broken up he is about, you know, Qui-Gon. Like Qui-Gon always spoke very highly of you, and I wish you were still alive, as you said.
Yeah.
Those are just moments where it's like you kind of watch it and you're just like, I mean, sure, I guess. Where's Maul, right? Like everyone was always like that. Or they were like, oh, he's the master of Qui-Gon. That's cool. Are we gonna see more? No, right? It's just like, oh, he's just a bad guy. But then you realize, like, as it progresses, like everything is very calculated and he's very smart in everything that he does. And he was just a very different kind of anti-hero type of character, right? And it wasn't like he was doing it out of like oppression or whatever. He was doing, I mean, in a way he was, but also he was just doing it because he wanted to like be the change that he wants to see in the world, right? As opposed to being, it being a catalyst of like his past.
I
So
only wanted to bring peace and order to the galaxy.
and it sounded like Snape too
It
when he said
does.
that.
He does kind of sound like Snape.
Yeah.
There are lines where I'm like, damn, this Corey Burton could voice Snape if they ever do like a Harry Potter animated series or
Yeah.
whatever. But what was I gonna say? I feel bad for Dooku in that scene in Attack of the Clones, because it's like he wants to Obi-Wan to join him, because in some sense that'll make him feel closer to Qui-Gon. It'll be like having Qui-Gon again. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of sad. And I love the line where he's looking at the tree and he's like, Qui-Gon, I used to bring Qui-Gon to this tree as a boy. He was so fascinated with it because he grew up on Coruscant. And it's like that just shows again that Qui-Gon is like so obsessed um with life and like the Force. Like even though growing up on this industrial planet, he's like drawn to this tree of life. I saw that, or I saw your comment, Alice. That's hilarious.
It's like, I mean, I mentioned earlier how, Dooku was always very kind of off-putting or like unnecessary, I guess, to a lot of fans early. But even the editors, I mean, even maybe George kind of let it happen. But there's like a lot of pivotal deleted scenes in Attack the Clones with him in it, and they're great. Like, it would have been better if they were left in, at least in my opinion. And you see more of his character and his motivations. And you don't really see that in Attack. He just more talks about the past and says, your Jedi powers are nothing compared to me and everything. It's like, yeah, but like,
Yeah,
what's your story?
he's
And
in it for like 5 minutes. Like
yeah,
it's crazy. Like
yeah.
he's the main villain of that movie, and he's in it for like 5 minutes, which is nuts.
Like, you're gonna hire Christopher Lee and only have him say like 5 lines.
Yeah,
Like, that guy's voice alone, you could just have a movie with just him talking or narrating. You could just be
yeah.
the narrator of my life, and I'd be okay with it, right?
And they kill him off like 10 minutes into the next movie. So it's
Yeah.
Dooku's always been underutilized. Charlie with the evil Ewok shirt and a few. Thank you, dude. I have to get mine too.
Yeah, actually, let's on that note, I'll bring up the website really quick. We'll do a little a little shameless plug.
Here, I'll stop. Yeah, we have merch now, everybody. Um,
So we got bold new looks, ladies and gentlemen. Can you see it? Yeah. Okay. We even got women's crop tops, but this is, I think, right now, this is like one of my favorites. I included the little logo on the side. You can't, I don't know why, but with this, you can't really see it, but you got the little I's and the O's, you know. And I have a couple coming my way to check for quality and everything to make sure they're great. But I mean, I used the best t-shirt quality that I could find. So, and then all 10% of all proceeds go to charity water. So, support a cause, support the channel,
I do like
all
water.
that good stuff. Yeah, I mean, I think everyone likes water at some point,
If
one
you
way
don't
or
like water, what are you doing? But
but yeah, so you want to help out the channel, or just, I mean, you guys watching us is more than enough. It's all good. But we got some merch now, so that's exciting.
Yoda on a is it a chair? Did we decide it's Yoda on a
Yeah,
chair?
it is Yoda on a chair because of the image, right? The
Yoda
portrait
on
made.
a chair to be coming soon, hopefully.
Yeah, to be dated.
Yeah,
I don't
is that
know. I don't know. Like, I just don't know the legal bindings of, like, we can't
yeah.
just like put that on a we can't just put that on a t-shirt because they're gonna be like, yo, we're suing you.
Doesn't
Um,
Star Wars Theory have like a bunch of
yeah,
characters on
but
his
they're drawn and they have no faces, so
Oh,
it's like you don't actually know what they are, but it's obvious what they are. That's at least what I'm thinking, is like
it's
the legal
y-
bindings of it.
Yoder on a chair. Copyright safe.
Yoder,
Yoder. It's not Yoda, it's Yoder.
Hodor.
Oh man. RIP. But we could talk about
Do you want to bring up the episode again, like the last episode? Because we didn't talk about just like the ending scene.
yeah, if you haven't watched it yet, probably click away now. But um it's always like it never goes to the one that I want it to go to. But this will do.
Palpatine's eyes.
I was honestly surprised that they did this, that they had Dooku already A, not having left the Jedi Order yet, and B, already working with Palpatine.
Yeah.
Um, I always assumed, and I think that they always led us to believe that Dooku joined Sidious's cause after Qui-Gon died and after Maul had died or died. So that was surprising to me. That was probably um, the biggest change that they made in this series.
Yeah, it was pretty cool too. Like, the music in this scene alone is like some of the best music we've gotten in Star Wars, like, for a while, right? And like, it's funny because I don't know if it's just because of who's heading the project or not, but I mean, I just feel like the showrunners for Kenobi were just like, music isn't necessary for this, right? And then
I
for like an animated like Tales of the Jedi, short season, they're like, let's just go ham with the music here because we have to drive it home. And I was like, man, like imagine if we had some bespoke music for Kenobi, like as shown here, right? Like it's not, it's like a combination of like Padme's ruminations, but also just like a cool like evil emperor theme, and it's just like it was so beautiful, right? Like everyone wanted it,
Dude,
and everyone was raving about it.
I don't get like why Deborah Chow, because she said it, like Deborah Chow said it was her decision. I don't know why she thought it would be a good idea to have purposefully underwhelming music in Star Wars. Like Star Wars has always been about the music. Like music has
Wait, she said that?
always. Yeah, she said that she directed the composer to have more low key like modern music behind the behind Kenobi. Like yeah.
Oh man, it was that composer's time to shine too,
And she's
and
a
he was
good composer. Like she did Loki.
yeah.
So it's such a waste, dude. And you're right, like this short form animated series by far and away has better music than Kenobi did. By far and away.
Yeah.
It's not even close.
It was like I was it was bittersweet when I was watching this because I was like, man, this is just beautiful, and it has rewatchability, right? Like this is one of the few Star Wars projects where you're like, I want to go back and watch it, right?
At least
And
the
I've been
Dooku, yeah, the Dooku
yeah,
episodes.
even the Ahsoka one. Well, not the first Ahsoka one, but even the other Ahsoka ones were like they're still fun to watch, and I've seen it 3 times now, and I haven't seen a single Kenobi episode over again aside from like the projects of editing. And it saddens me that I don't want to go back and watch the Kenobi, right? It should never have been like that. They
Yeah.
should make their shows want to be rewatched, right? That's kind of a big analytic that they're looking for, and this so far is like the only thing that's extremely rewatchable. Um, I think, right? Aside from Clone Wars, right? It's like I can't imagine, and like obviously all the main films, everything new that's come out. I can't think of what like Andor was great, but I don't want to like just go back and watch it all over, right? I feel like I kind of got what I needed to get, and I just want to move forward and see more, right? I don't really want to go back anymore.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Like the Clone Wars, for example, it has that kind of like magic around it
Yeah.
that I would compare to like, for example, the Harry Potter books. Like I read the Harry Potter books like every 2 years. Like I reread them.
Oh, okay.
And like the Clone Wars, like I feel like it's a show you can go back and watch, and you'll love it just as much as you did the first time you watched it. There's just some kind of magic around it. Um, they just nailed it, and this feels like uh kind of like it's definitely like got connective tissue to the Clone Wars. Obviously, it feels like a part of the Clone Wars, and I guess to answer the next like prompt that we've got here, I would want another season of Tales of the Jedi. How about you? Would you be interested in seeing more of this?
Yeah. Would you think that it would just be like more building blocks off of those characters, or do you think each season will be like a different 2 characters? Like, what would be the format?
I think they do different characters because, like, what else are you gonna do with Ahsoka? And even though you have more Dooku runway, I feel like it would feel weird if they were like, okay, he's back with the Jedi again. This is 10 years before he like this is how he first meets Sidious. I feel like if they were gonna do that, they would have already done it. So I do think it'd be new characters or like
Yeah,
different.
and to be honest, it would be kind of annoying if they did do an animated Dooku show because there's a lot here that they wouldn't show, and it's like, oh well, if you want the full context of that show, go watch the short videos, and it's like I think they did it just to get the gist, and they aren't really going to commit, I don't think. And if they do, it's like Book of Boba Fett. You know, you have to watch Book of Boba Fett episode to get the Luke and Grogu separation. And it's just like, okay, you know, it should be easy for the viewers. But
I could see them doing like a Plo Koon, a few episodes of Plo Koon or like
or
Kiadi Mundi or
or
Kit
like an Order
Fisto.
66 only.
Just the younglings getting killed.
Yeah.
Someone had a comment earlier how they wanted to see, they're waiting for the Revenge of the Sith deleted scenes of the younglings dying. What if it's like Tales of the Jedi for like a youngling and his tale is him just getting killed by by Anakin?
It's like his he's like one of the Jedi. Well, it would be actually cool to see it from that perspective because it's like maybe he's one of the ones that survived, only to die eventually later. But
Yeah.
like he ended up getting out, and like that process of like what he saw and what happened there. Because every time we ever see anything in there, it's very quick. It's one of those like shock and awe scenes. It's not like a whole fleshed out story, right? And it would be interesting. I don't know if everyone would want that necessarily. I think maybe the idealization of what could have happened or what might have happened is more alluring than actually seeing what happened. I don't know. But I think there's a lot to talk about with Order 66 alone too.
They should do like a Christmas episode where it's like the Jedi are preparing for Christmas, they're getting the tree set up, and then at the end, like in the last 20 minutes of the episode, Order 66 happens and Anakin comes in and kills all of them.
You just see like, yeah, they're like, yay! And I always love this time of year. It's like one of those. It's like one of those like sausage party. I remember you saw a
I
sausage
do,
party,
yeah,
right?
I've seen
Where like
Sausage
they're all
Party.
happy. All of a sudden, everyone's like getting cut up and destroyed. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just you just see this like, oh, Master Skywalker. Ah! They just like
Merry Christmas, Master
Merry
Skywalker.
Christmas. It sounds like a robot chicken skit, honestly. Oh my god.
That'd be great. But I do like in all seriousness, I do want to see more than like 30-second clips of the raid at the Jedi Temple. Like I would love to see Anakin fighting Jedi and the clones going at it with the Jedi. Like that'd be so cool. Like, and you're so right. Whenever we've seen it, it's been like clips here and there, like little flashes of like in Kenobi, like we just saw like brief like 2-second clips.
Yeah.
And then Revenge of the Sith, it was like, oh, here's like an overhead shot of like Jedi fighting clones, and then here's Anakin igniting his lightsaber to kill younglings, and that's all we ever got, like little teases. And it's such an epic event that I just want to see more. I always want to see more.
Yeah, they're always done in flashback. Uh in like the flashback like vibe and tone. Like they're never done from a perspective. So or from like an introspective view of what's happening. So I mean I think it could be cool. It just depends on I think how they do it, right?
Yeah, there should be a youngling hunt like Ewok hunt. That'd be hilarious.
Imagine they release that on like Battlefront and they just get canceled immediately.
I'd play it. That'd be
I would play
cool.
the hell out of it, but it's like I feel like there'd be too many people who are like, "Well, kids die every day in school shootings. How could you do this?" All that stuff, and I'm just like, "Oh yeah, they'd probably get canceled."
Ray Kinnick said in her episode she shot in Kenobi there was more of that, but unfortunately she couldn't use it. What did we ever figure out who she played? Obviously a Jedi, right? But like, when do you see her on screen?
There was more of her of that person they couldn't use it. Oh, wait, she was in an episode.
That's what Charlie's saying. Yeah, she was in a Kenobi episode.
Whoa, which one, Charlie? Or which supposed one was she supposed to be in? That's pretty cool. Oh, we should have her on to talk about that. That's pretty cool.
What'd you think of Yaddle? Charlie says episode 5.
Dude, did you find like in between the episode where like says next episode, there's like a screenshot of like Yaddle before the episode premieres, and I was like, "What the fuck is that?" Like it scared me for a second. I was like so confused, and then
It scared you how attracted you were to her.
but like it looked kind of funny, like in that image that they show in the screenshot. It looks very like funky, and like maybe because I'm just not used to seeing the species of hair or something. But it just like weirded me out for a second, and then I looked at the description. It's like Yaddle. I was like, oh, we're gonna see Yaddle. Okay. But I just saw that. I was like, oh, that's interesting. But I don't know. I think that she was necessary because obviously we never see her, and if it was like any
Yeah.
other character, it would have just been like it's. I'm glad that it was this character and not just like some no name Jedi, right? Because everyone like always hints at Yaddle, but we know very little, and it's like kind of like one of those like deep lore facts, right? So I think adding her here was pretty cool. She obviously was needed to curve Dooku's true descent, right? And it shows like how he he is like there in the dark side. He is immersed in the dark side, but he isn't all the way there, like he still has his like ideology set. Like he's kind of in a way he's like being like Palpatine too with both sides in his head. Even though but he knows what's necessary to be done, right? He didn't fully fall. But
Yeah,
this like really helped you see kind of his struggles and how he had to kill like poor little Yaddle. Like she was so little and so cute, and like he had like just like fucking cut her in half with a saber. It was like sad.
kind of harping off of that, but like how you said like Dooku isn't completely like evil, but like what something I noticed was that when she opens the door here with the Force and the light comes in, Dooku kind of just stares into the light, and Sidious is like he's going like like I can't see, like he's covering his eye. Let me see if we can play it real quick.
She's got an Elvis cut. Yeah, I guess maybe that's why I was kind of thrown off. It's like a very funky haircut.
See, like he looks into the light,
Yeah.
and let's see if it shows. Yeah, he's like he was shielding his eyes. So it's just interesting. It's like Palpatine's completely evil, and Dooku is it's like his last chance to
Or
embrace the
yeah,
light.
it's like Palpatine's like, I've been waiting in this garage for like 6 hours,
Yeah.
and like I haven't seen sunlight in so long. Oh, are
Rude.
you really gonna open that shit up right now?
I
But yeah, that,
want
I didn't notice that though. It's very interesting that you mentioned that, Zach. I saw that and I'm just like, oh, Palpatine hates sunlight, but I didn't really think more into it. But that is a very interesting thematic element. Um,
another thing I noticed that really like for some reason bugged me is in this episode here, the one with Windu. Um during the funeral scene, you can see Jedi with so look at Plo Koon. Why is he wearing the clone arm, like you know how like in the Clone Wars they wore the arm braces, the clone arm braces, sometimes
mhm.
like Obi-Wan did. Why are they wearing those now? Like you see him, he wears it,
Oh, I didn't
and
even
then I
notice
think
that.
there's another character. I think it's Sassy Tin who's wearing them, and like the next shot.
Maybe it's just standard Republic
Yes,
armor at that
he's
point.
wearing it. But they're not, I always took it as like they wore them because they were in wartime. But my take on this is they took models from the Clone Wars and just like copy pasted them.
That's interesting. I'd like to hear like behind the scenes if they even mentioned that, or if they're talking about that, or if no
Yeah,
one noticed it. That would be interesting too. I didn't even notice that.
yeah. I was just watching it and I was like, hey, wait a minute. Like,
You
why are
should make a
they?
video about that.
I should call. I should throw it on the gauntlet and be like,
Yeah,
Star
like Dave
Wars doesn't.
Filoni is washed.
Dave Filoni is washed. Yeah, that's what I thought. Stanley's. But yeah, interesting that they chose to do that.
That's a nice catch, nice little Easter egg there. I didn't even see it. Is there anything else that you noticed? I'm
Yeah, I
curious
mean,
now.
well, some other people have mentioned this, but Obi-Wan should not have his mullet in this episode.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
he
I
should
I was
not
having a
have
hard
it.
time with the time, what era or what time period. I was like kind of thrown off a little bit.
Yeah, at first I was like, okay, so this is before Ahsoka's even his Padawan, and he doesn't know her. And then he's like, "Are you gonna go? Yeah, like, are you gonna go talk to her?" And then it's like, oh, so he's already master to Ahsoka. And we saw that in the Clone Wars movie, Obi-Wan doesn't have his mullet. He's already got his normal haircut. So I don't know why they chose to do this. It doesn't make sense to me.
Lord Farquaad.
He does look like Lord
They
Farquaad.
stole his character model, and they were like, "Well, we can't make a new one, so let's just."
We've got this Lord Farquaad model here. So some of you
I didn't.
may die, but
I,
that's a
I
sacrifice I'm willing to make.
I didn't think too much about it. I was like questioning it a little bit, but I was also like, oh, there's probably some explanation or something for it, so I didn't really care. But if
See ya,
if
Charlie.
if it's a thing, then that's definitely another funny like little tidbit to criticize.
Yeah, it was Kanan Stanley's. It's Depe Balaba and Kanan in this scene.
Yeah, that was kind of random too. So cool. Like Kanan's all excited. He's like, "Whoa, Ahsoka's so cool." Anakin's like, "You can't do anything. You suck."
Yeah, I'm gonna like embarrass you one day when I
Yeah.
um let me see if I can find, oh wait.
He's like, I need you to be ready for when you have to try to kill me.
That's Imagundi from one of my favorite Clone Wars episodes, where they're like trying to hold off the droids for Ryloth, and he gets
Oh, the battle for Ryloth.
yeah, and then that boy gets clapped by Sidious.
He just doesn't even move, dude.
Yeah, he just
he
gets
just
ah!
he's like he holds his saber. Palpatine does the flip for like 2 minutes, and he just still stays there. And then as Palpatine's lunging at him, he's like, "Oh, now I should swing," and then like puts his saber up to go swing, and then just gets fucking impaled.
Yeah.
And it's like, "Oh, I wonder how that happened."
It's a bummer because he looks cool. Like I always liked him as a kid. I was like, but he's a punk. Like he just
Oh,
gets
really?
taken to school.
I liked. uh
Kit Fisto is my
Yeah,
favorite
I was
though.
about to say that. How'd you know I was gonna say that?
Because
I was
he's
gonna
so
say
cool, dude.
because his name is hilarious, dude. Fucking love it.
You know what he loves to do in the bedroom.
Yeah, we're all aware.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about that.
Yeah, that's why he's single.
Is he though? In the comics, he had a thing with Aayla Secura in Legends.
Oh, then he's a god.
Yeah,
Yeah, he got that.
I thought Ahsoka looked so crisp, like in this scene. Like I don't know, like the animation just looked so good.
You know what animation for deflections I like the most? It was Dooku and Qui-Gon. It felt live
Oh
action to me
yeah,
in the second one or the third one. The
the
one where they go to the planet and then the senator comes and tries to kill his people because they stole his son.
yeah,
Like before that, like when they first start shooting, it's like not just like a bunch of like quick jerks movement. You know how like Clone Wars, like there's just a bunch of jerk movements and like
yes.
deflections. This was like very fluid and it felt very natural, and it was like so cool. I loved this. Like I almost was watching this. I'm like, dude, if they just did everything like this, I don't know if I would be upset about it.
Just never do live action again.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's weird, and I come from a place where I didn't watch the Clone Wars because I'm like, that looks dumb. It's all animated. Right? So
I don't know why it keeps doing that. Keeps going. I really like the model of young Qui-Gon. I thought it looked really good.
yeah.
But I'd say this is probably my second favorite episode. The Windu one was probably my third, and then I don't know. Maybe I didn't really like the Ahsoka ones. They're kind of like I view them all the same. From a certain point of view, he's supposed to have the mullet at this point. Originally, I think they just did not want to animate it back when they did the models in 2008. Yeah, that makes sense.
From a certain point of view. Yeah, I mean that's a good cop out. I mean, if they said that, I'd be like, oh, that's fair, right? Like they didn't think Clone Wars was going to be as big as it is now.
I freaking turned this way and I was like, oh god.
You
I
like
forgot
got
about
scared by your own guy,
I
your own
did.
death. It's called a deadly embrace, is what this is right here.
This is a great episode. Yeah, this one I thought this one showed the corruption a bit better than the last one, honestly. Um, but I thought that this looks more like Liam Neeson than the one from this episode to me. I don't know, like the Liam Neeson, the Qui-Gon model
Oh
looked a
yeah,
little
the Qui-Gon model on this one from the shadows looked great until you saw his eyes,
yeah,
and he
he
looks
just looks
he looks like Slavic. He looks like he doesn't look
he should be
um
on Vikings or something.
yeah. Yeah, or Norwegian. Yeah, exactly. He looks less like Liam Neeson and more like a recast.
Yeah, it's so strange, like because they nailed the young one. The young one
Yeah.
looks like a young Liam Neeson, and then this doesn't look like Liam Neeson at all. But I liked that they got
But
Liam
but
Neeson to
it's his
voice on it.
voice, so it's
Yeah.
like maybe they're like, "Yo, we have this like render of like another character that was never used. You want to just put Liam Neeson's hair on it and just use that one
You know,
because
we've got this Lord Farquaad. It's Lord Farquaad model. Do you wanna, like, squish the dimensions a little bit? Put
like
facial hair on him?
but like changing that model that exists is going to take the same amount of time as just making a new model. Like, no, just do the Lord Farquaad model.
Dave's like, "Yeah, I really like Shrek. Let's go with the Lord Farquaad model."
He just has like a cigar in his hand, and he's just like, I think we have Liam Neeson's voice. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's just half the battle.
I love how he slurs. I just realized Dave Filoni really like just slurs words together. Like he's just, it's just
yeah, that sounded just like Dave
yeah.
Filoni.
It's like really funny.
I loved when we were at Celebration when they were on the live stage. A fan had like a Dave Filoni action figure, Trapper Wolf, his X-wing pilot, and like Jon Favreau took it
Oh
and was like,
yeah,
"Here, sign this." It's so funny.
he like stepped down too. It was like a pretty
Yeah,
big stage, and he like stepped down, and it was like a whole thing. Like it was a big deal for him to like try to step down there. I was like, oh shit.
we speak the same language, Alice. We just have different dialects than you. But no, slurring
But
is not
no,
normal.
slurring is frowned upon unless you're Dave
Yeah,
Filoni, and you can slur all you want, I guess.
you can legally be persecuted for slurring.
I wonder if he's just like really high or just really relaxed all the time. So he's just like doesn't want to put the effort to intonate.
Why not both?
It always made me curious. Or he's just been staring at a screen all day and like the last thing he wants to do is go and have an interview. Um,
He's like, I'm just gonna slur my words and not make any sense.
he's like, do I really have to be here right now? Like, shit.
I also like the symbolism of this with the lighting. She's walking into the light, he's walking into the dark.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good stuff, Dave.
Beautiful, beautiful thematic elements, which is something that's so easy to do in animation, which is why animation again is like a really great storytelling device. It's
Indeed.
interesting how it is very expensive though when you think about it. Like, you know, a lot of those like I don't know how expensive this animation is now, but I remember back in the day with like a lot of like the cinematics for video games, like just like nailing like a trailer for like a 2-minute trailer or 3-minute trailer was like $20 million or something like that, or $10 million, and I was just like, holy shit, dude! That's why they don't use that animation art style to make like feature like movies because it would never
Yeah.
make its money back.
And I remember when I was a kid and I did not know that, I would be
Yeah.
like, why don't they just make the whole game look like this? Like,
Like,
why
why is
is it?
Warcraft live action? Why isn't it the way those cinematics were in the games? And they're just like, oh, because they can spend 180 million and maybe make 280 or 300 because it sucks, or they go ball out, make it really great, and spend 800 million and never make any money and lose money, right?
That's why I hate when all like these mobile games have like these cinematic like trailers or
Yeah,
ads, and it's like, oh, it's so cool looking, and then you look at the actual gameplay, it's like this looks like you ran this with a microwave or something. Like,
that just pays tribute to how much money those mobile games make, though, right? Like
oh, they're cash cows.
it's just nuts, dude. Like I remember I was doing Raid Shadow Legends ads on my channel for a little while, and I was like, dude, these guys just keep wanting to do it, even though I get no new signups on my on my link. They're just like, I don't give a fuck. We just got to get our name out there.
Did you ever play it?
I played it. I had to. I had to do like a gameplay. I like did like the first couple levels, and I was like, this is like fun because I used to really like turn based games. But I was just like, this is too. It just wasn't stimulating enough. It was too boring for me. But it looked good though. Like to be honest, like the gameplay looked good. Like it didn't look really shit, which makes sense because they make so much money. But I
And
don't know the
that's
story.
why this stream is brought to you by Raid Shadow Legends.
That would be such a great segue into an ad.
Yeah.
If only we had our email address on our channel all these years.
Yeah. Who could have been responsible for such a thing?
I can't believe it didn't happen, dude. How was it just blank there all this time? I don't.
I don't know. I
I,
never
I
go to that page, so
I find that so funny to me. But anyway, I digress.
is
We
there
didn't even
anything
talk about
else?
Andor yet.
Yeah, let's talk about Andor. I don't want to go through the whole episode.
We don't have to go through the whole episode. We can talk about the key points because it was relatively slow. It was
Yeah.
another builder episode. I don't like to call them filler. I think my new word is going to be builder because it's building up to a to a good episode.
It's not a rebuild, it's a retool, as they say in sports.
Yeah.
I would love a General Grievous story. Yeah, honestly,
Oh, that too.
like an
That would be
origin
sick.
story.
Oh
Yes.
my god, yes. And on that note, I was like, I remember watching Revenge of the Sith as a kid and Attack of the Clones as a kid or Phantom as a kid, and you're like, oh, the evil side, like they're just dumb. Why don't they just turn good? You know? And it's like you realize there's so much more complexities behind your choices in life, right? Politically, ideologically, everything. And I think Dooku's struggles and like Dooku's realizations make you like question, wait, maybe he's not wrong about the Jedi. Like, where would I lean if I were to watch this? You know, if I was in this world and I was seeing like what the Jedi do to like
Yeah,
for the sin spinning, right? Would you be like, wow, I fucking hate the Jedi? Like, they actually kind of suck, dude. You know?
Dooku's right. Like that's the thing. Dooku's right. Like even Yaddle is
Yeah.
like you were right about so much. Like
Yeah,
the
that
problem.
was so sad, dude. She's like, I even stepped down. Like, I agree
Yeah,
with you, and he's like, bitch, I still have to kill you. I'm sorry, right? And I'm
it's like
like, fuck.
lightsaber go burr.
Oh my god.
But yeah, like that. It's like he's right. He just goes too far. And Charlie said it like best like a while ago. He said like he got lost in doing the right thing. It's perfect. But damn, like this was great. Like this was so good with Dooku. Now here we are talking about Tales of the Jedi again. But yes, I agree. General Grievous. I think a General Grievous. If they could make General Grievous sympathetic, then that's one of the last things that they have left to do. I think in terms of fleshing out the prequels, is explore General Grievous. Gollum was in Andor. He was, or this is Snoke's origin story. He spent all that time in that prison, and then he got angry, and then he became Snoke.
You know what makes me sad? This is unrelated. But I I was
Lord Farquaad.
I came on, like, I'm going through our channel, you know, and I'm on this podcast. We're talking about Star Wars and everything, and like I realized like I did a poll on my main, like expecting it to be predominantly like
Oh,
they
I
only want
saw
to see,
that.
dude. It's like 8%. And I'm like, what the fuck? Am I a Game of Thrones edit channel now? I was like kind of stressing out because I'm like, dude, I swear like 100,000 of these people like watch me for Star Wars. Like what's mostly what I was doing. So I was so confused seeing that. And I'm like, I guess now I have a Game of Thrones channel and the Star Wars channel, dude. I was like so sad about that.
You're a
Like I
Game of
love Game of
Thrones fan
Thrones.
now, dude.
I love Game of Thrones and I love House of Dragon, but Star Wars is always gonna be my home.
I see you changed your logo. It's pretty cool. I mean, like, look at your last. you you've done a lot of. I mean, they're just like episode trailers, but and then the Damon video. But like, yeah, a lot of them are Game of Thrones. I guess at a glance, I would think you're more of a Game of Thrones trailer based off
Until
your
you see the
last.
banner and it's not. I actually just hired a graphic designer to completely redo my banner to add um more characters in, because it's like just Star Wars characters at
Yeah,
the bar, and I'm like thinking like maybe that doesn't translate well because I'm posting a bunch of different fandoms. So
you could have them put Watto up there though. Have them put me and Watto like just like this. Like I've got my arm around Watto.
send me an image.
I'm just kidding.
I'll
Um,
put I can do something for the banner too. So like we have multiple banners. I want to have our banner have like the schedule too, and like when new videos are coming out eventually whenever we get into like a routine. But that's something I want to add to the channel too.
Damn, yeah, you're at 81% for Game of Thrones and 10 for Star Wars.
Yeah, there was actually a comment on that, and they were like, I think it's just because like reactionary videos, trailer videos, edit videos are all like predominantly House of the Dragon right now. And as a result of watching and getting streamlined through different audiences all over like the House of the Dragon fandom, they've seen something of mine at some point and like
Yeah.
they get filtered into the poll, and they've never seen my channel really often. They've seen maybe one video, and as a result, they're just like, "Oh, I like House of the Dragon," right? And a lot of my older viewers maybe aren't seeing the poll because they haven't been tuning in because it's obviously Game of Thrones. And they're like, "I want my Star Wars stuff." So I was just curious to see what was happening because
Your old viewers have a southern accent. I want my Star Wars stuff.
I want my Star Wars stuff. You hear that on my green tractor? You know, I like watching your edits on my tractor back home. But no, like I don't know. I was just like, fuck. I'm glad this is still Star Wars.
I'll do the same poll and we'll see what we do. What we
It's like
get.
100%.
You've never made anything not Star Wars. What are you talking about?
They're like, you make Marvel videos?
Like, no.
Like, no, I just wanted to see.
Your Star Wars edits are the best, and I did love the Lord of the Ring ones too. That means a
Yeah.
lot because I'm AD edits and he's ADHD.
Yeah.
People
Plot
get
twist.
yeah, plot twist.
Holy
My
shit!
name is actually Alex.
Imagine like 5 years down the road, we're like, actually, we lied.
We could, like, as far as they're concerned, we could be lying. Like, do you guys have any proof that we're who we say we are? You need to do a stream with a full Southern accent the whole time.
Unless they follow me on Insta, but then that would be like a long con. Like
Yeah.
I have had my name different on there my entire life, waiting for this moment.
To bamboozle an audience of 130 something K.
Yeah, yeah.
I just watch everything, so. And we love you for that.
You're like, bro, I don't give a fuck. I just see a video and I click it, and I'm like, I love that kind of viewer. Love it. But anyway, highlights of Andor.
Andor discussion.
Andor.
I like the creativity of the prison. I like that they basically have the floor as lava as a punishment. Um, I like how they kind of have turned it into like this production facility, and they punish you if you're not very productive, and they give you like meager rewards if you're productive, but it's obviously miserable. 12-hour shifts. You live on. You don't even have a bed. You have a freaking like. It looks like a
Yeah,
metal slab.
can you pull up the sleeping quarters? Because I thought the food thing was pretty cool. Did you
A
notice that?
hose.
No, like I thought that was like a toothbrush type thing, like where it
I
cleaned
thought
your
that was
teeth.
their food.
No, because like he was eating, and then he put it into the wall, and then he grabbed something and washed his mouth out. That's what I thought it was. Like it was like a type of like cleaning thing after he ate.
All right. Let me bring it up.
We could like just watch that section.
Here's Andor. It's going to do that cool transition.
2,182 days.
Do you think what if he's just in here for the rest of the series?
Yeah, see, he finishes, puts that in there, like flushes it down the garbage disposal, and then pulls out like some kind of toothbrush thingy.
Yeah, I guess there might be two, because there's one here and there's one beneath it. And I thought I remembered one of the guys telling him like you get used to eating it or something. And he's like, "This is your food hose." I don't know. Maybe he's got like a water hose and a food hose, and you just put the food on the plate or something. I don't know.
That's fucking crazy. It's pretty cool though. I kind of like it. Like it looks old school, but it also looks new school, and that's
You
like,
wanna switch places with him, bro? You wanna be in
yeah,
prison?
dude. Yeah, dude. With fire, the floor is lava game.
Yeah.
I love that. I was like, I used to do that all the time as a kid.
Yeah, they love it too.
Yeah.
These are pretty much like snowboarding boots, it seems like.
Beautiful.
And we have some more freaking Yularen showing up.
What a dad.
She's teaming up with Cyril, I think, at the end. Or not at the end, but she teams up with him. She gets captured. They're trying to survey for Cassian, but they're not going to have much luck. I keep thinking at one of these parties we're going to see one of Palpatine's lackeys, but we never do.
Yeah, they're too important.
But I also feel like these characters should have been aliens, or like at least one of them should have been an alien.
Well, the Empire was like very segregated, right?
Yeah, but they still have alien species represented in the Senate. So, and there are aliens present at this party. They're in the background though.
Budget.
I don't care. Like if you're gonna have like, so look, like there's an
I agree
alien
though. I do agree.
in the background and already in like a good costume that looks convincing. Why not just give them lines? Like at that point, it's not about budget. It's just about you not hiring an actor who you're comfortable with giving lines. Bix being taken in for questioning will probably start a riot led by Brasso. Yeah, potentially. And we got a suicide scene here. The show continues to be the darkest, like one of the darkest Star Wars things ever.
He's like, he fell. Like I found like the dialogue, like they just had no no empathy. They're like, I don't fucking care. It's like, dude, he's dead on the floor. He's gonna smell. Like, get him
Yeah.
out of here.
And the cleanup crew doesn't even come until the morning or something. That sucks. At least Cassian's like far away from it.
Yeah.
I don't dislike the husband anymore. I feel sorry for him. He thinks his wife's cheating on him.
Wait, which husband?
Mon Mothma's husband.
Oh yeah.
She's cheating
Yeah,
on
he
him
he
with the
definitely
rebellion.
he definitely does. He definitely has that vibe. He doesn't realize what she's actually doing, which I don't know how he would take that if he knew what she was actually doing, because I don't know how like deep in like ideologically he is with the Empire or whatever, or if he's just like kind of there because she is. I'm assuming the reason for him just being in the dark is because he's all for it, right? Um,
I
but
don't know if he's like super rah. I love the Empire. I think it's more so like he's just comfortable, and her help leading in a rebellion would obviously jeopardize his cushy life, and I feel like he'd rat on her for that reason.
yeah, he's
No,
just like uh what is it? What's the word? Like
Lord
not you
Farquaad.
not use not using them for their wealth. I mean, in a way, but it's like they're just like a God, whatever. It doesn't matter. But I think like maybe it transcends beyond just ideology. Maybe they just don't connect anymore, and they've never talked about anything, and it's just kind of like they're all just a facade couple at this point.
Yeah, I mean, she
So
said they'd been married since they were 15 or something.
yeah, that was interesting. Little bit of lore. It's like
Yeah,
very very medieval.
I would not want to be married when I was 15. That would have been terrible.
Yeah, but you didn't have the right to like think and choose I think if you had one way of life and then all of a sudden you transferred over to that way of life at 15, that you would be like, oh shit. Whereas for them, they're probably like, I'm so excited. It's like the greatest thing ever, right? Um, because when you're 15, you don't know shit. You're an idiot. So
And Mon Mothma was in Tales of the Jedi very briefly at the funeral next to Bale.
yeah, it was nice to see Bale again. I always liked Bale.
Tay leaving without saying bye to Mon Mothma was potentially worrying.
Oh yeah, Amanda asked. She was like, "Wait, what happens to him again?" In reference to Bail Organa. I'm like, "Well,
Oh,
let's
he'll
just
be
say
fine. He'll be fine
he'll be fine. Let's just say his entire planet just gets blown up
while he's on it.
while he's on it. So, as a result, you don't exist anymore." And she's like, "Oh yeah, I forgot." You know what was even crazier is like, she's a fan, but she doesn't like religiously watch all of the movies, go deep in the lore or anything. She just is obsessed with Thrawn, and she was like, "Wait, which one was Dooku?" And I'm like, "No fucking way."
What?
Yeah, so like I will say this, I feel like she's not alone in that. So I think this is a good way to really bring into comparison a character that isn't Maul, right? Because all the women
Yeah,
love Maul because he's just like, the bad boy, right?
he's
And
horny.
yeah, in a lot of ways. On
Maul
his
is
head.
the bad boy. All right, you got anything else, or should we call it here?
I don't
I
know.
think
Any chat? What did you guys like Andor or Tails more? I'm assuming you're gonna lean more towards Tails, but for the sake of, if Tails wasn't here, was this a great episode of Andor or not?
I'd give it like a 6 or 7. It
Out of
was okay.
10?
Yeah, it was okay.
Oh man. Actually, yeah, I guess it is a 7. But it's like a good 7. I'm used to giving like 6s or 7s where it's like, fuck, it had this like really cool moment and I can't put it below it, but like everything else sucked. Whereas this was just
No,
like
yeah,
it was like neutral all across the board, and there's like a couple moments where like that's cool, right?
it's a
So
good 7 in that like I know Andor the show is capable of doing better. It was still like good writing and whatnot. Um, whereas like I'd give Kenobi a 7 and I'd be like, well, that had a lot of flaws, but I still loved it because it was Kenobi. Um, yeah, I'll
yeah,
put up a poll, Alice. Grade.
I think a 7 for a show that isn't about a main character is good.
Yeah, great
Because it's not
episode.
clouded in um memories. And
All right, poll is live. Go ahead and vote what you think this episode deserved. I wish we could see the poll on StreamYard.
yeah, that's a functionality they need to integrate their platform a lot better with YouTube. Because right now it's just like a vessel that like transmits to YouTube.
Bill Savis got mentioned. Bill Savis had a hidden cat in prison in Star Wars: The Knights of the Old Republic. Oh, that's cool. I appreciate they're giving a lot of those little references and tidbits here and there. Alice thinks she's the second best episode of the season so far. I don't agree. I don't think it was the worst. I think it was. I don't know. It's kind of hard to
I
think
think it was
about.
better than last week.
It was better than last week for sure. I would say I'd give it a 7, and I'd put it somewhere in the mix with like the other 4 setup episodes. Because I think episode 6 was the best. Episode 3 was the second best.
There is actually an interesting thing I saw. They were talking about who's directing the episodes, and that kind of sets up the arc, right? So the person directing the last 2 episodes, which would be 11 and 12, did the heist scene. So there's probably going to be something big happening in the last 2 episodes.
They're just doing another heist.
They go back to the same planet with Cassian cuts off his facial hair, shaves his face, and goes back in. They do it all over again.
The Empire's like, damn.
Then Vader's there waiting for him, and then you're just like, well, that was fucking dumb.
Star Wars theory's like, yes, I called it. No, Vader's waiting for them. Palpatine's waiting for them.
Yeah.
Ahsoka is with Andor, helping him.
like the metal door opens up, and Palpatine's just sitting there like, everything is proceeding as I have foreseen. And everyone's like, oh, he said the thing. I'm so excited. Oh my fuck.
I love Star Wars.
I love Star Wars. Star Wars is back, baby. This is the best thing I've ever seen. And then we're just sitting there like, well, that was dumb.
That didn't make any sense. Val's gonna go to the prison to get him and kill him. Saw was in this. Oh yeah, Saw was in this episode. I forgot about that. I was waiting for him to say like a really good line, but he didn't really have anything too iconic.
No, it was just more us getting to see that there's the rebellion's multifaceted, right?
Yeah,
and that was pretty cool. I mean, we already knew that, but this is just kind of drawing more into comparison, like that. Even when you're controlled by the Empire, you're still fighting other rebels because of your ideologies don't mix or match, which is very interesting. But
we didn't get to see Bo Gullet.
Yeah. Really, if until we see Bo Gullet, I think the show sucks. Personally.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for Bo Gullet. That's all I want. He's my favorite character.
It'd be cool if we see. Do you think we would see Galen?
No.
Like at all?
No, they'd have to have some kind of subplot with the Death Star construction in order for that to happen. I just don't see it happening.
He's like just in the background, like sitting down at a chair while like
it it's not even officers. It's not even Mads Mikkelsen. It's just somebody who looks like him.
It's just Liam Neeson. They're like, wait, is that Qui-Gon? He's like, wait, no, it's not Qui-Gon.
No, it's just a lifelike model of Lord Qui-Gon.
They're like, we're trying to replicate the Qui-Gon from the new Tales of the Jedi, so we just recast him. And everyone's like, wait, what?
Salazar various rebel cells whom he wasn't speaking favorable of them. Yeah, I mean, like, realistically, if you're going to have a large-scale rebellion like this, you're going to have different factions. So I like that they do this with Saw. I like that he's an extremist. But I think that probably won't be the last time we see him in this series. The series, but also this season. Man, he looks concerned there. But I think that's going to do it for us, folks.
Yep.
Thanks for watching, everybody. If you haven't already liked the stream, it helps us out a whole lot. And anything else from you, Alex? Or are you good?
And of course, if you want to support further, there's all different types of options, whether it's merch or whatever, and no obligation. Just we appreciate if you do or don't. It doesn't matter to
Yeah.
us. But I mean, Alice, the Stanleys, Charlie, everyone else Fulcrum, everyone else who's like consistently in here, we really do appreciate you. You have no idea. Like, it's awesome just to be able to come on here and have a nice chat with all of you. You guys are very nice, civil, and help moderate our chat when we get kind of overtaken with a bunch of really weird, questionable profile names and pictures. So,
yeah, we're gonna try to get that Discord set up. We're gonna
yeah,
look into that.
yeah, we're gonna get Discord so you guys all know when we're live. Little maybe special giveaways, all sorts of cool things. So I think we'll get that set up soon, just as a way to interact more with you guys. You guys can more interact with each other. Also, get discussions going, threads, everything. I think it could be a fun way to kind of get us all together. You guys can plot together against us during the games. All sorts of fun things. So until
Yeah.
then,
Happy Halloween, everybody.
happy Halloween. We'll see you guys next week, and may the force be with you all.